Hello, YouTube land. Thanks for tuning in to my channel where I crack packs and hopefully get around to doing other Magic the Gathering related content. So it's January 2021 and I still have stuff I bought in September and didn't open. Rite Aid stuff. So look at that. That is not the usual collection of boosters in there. And that is exactly why I bought it. Because it's not just a bunch of M21, M20, M19, and Ravnica stuff. These look different, especially because this one looks like it has Dominaria. The others, well, it looks like all the purple ones are Throne of Eldraine. And the others, I don't know what they could be. So let's find out. So again, this is from September 2020 that I bought because it looked different, but I still haven't opened because it's September. We had the release of Zendikar Rising. So who had time for anything else? So I bought these, put them aside, and you know what? It's already 2021. Time to get these things open. So look at that. All these Laughless Dragons. So this is before they switched over to Zaragos. So the last of the Laughless is Laughless for my area. So it looks like we got a lot of these light green ones. I'm thinking maybe that is something out of Theros, but older Theros. And the other stuff might be Guilds of Ravnica and maybe Ixalan stuff. Let's find out. Too much talking, right, guys? Let's get to the cracking. Let's get to the cracking. Let's get to the cracking. So this might take a while on account of there will be new cards I haven't seen before, and I will want to read them. All right, Laughless. Ixalan, original Ixalan. That is exciting. That is exciting. And I was right. Guilds of Ravnica and Eldraine. All right. Original Ixalan. I have seen some really good cards. Other people reference in different groups that I watch, and Ixalan cards in there. So that's exciting. This thing is not opening. Wow, you are not meant to open. Wowzers. Wow. Struggling for the entertainment value, sure. Alright, more Ixalan and more of that. I do have a use out of these little trays that helps me handle the sorting later. Once I start, you have that thing where you're trying to organize your collection, and then you end up like, oh, this is begging to be made into a deck. This should go into a deck, and you start putting stuff to the side, and so that's what I do with these little trays for that kind of sorting. Rivals of Ixalan, okay, which I don't remember if there's anything particularly great there, but sure, that's going to be still interesting to open. I think the very first one of these I opened included Rivals of Ixalan, Guilds of Ravnica, and Ravnica Alliance. And I pretty much liked everything I saw in there. But again, that was after my 20-year gap, so everything seemed new and exciting compared to the stuff I grew up with. And the last one. Come on. These I've never struggled like this, opening up letters like this. Alright. And we got a Dominaria as expected, and Guilds and Eldraine. Alright. Alright, so Ixalan's gonna be the most exciting thing to open probably. I'll save that for last. Dominaria. And I'm opening up a lot of Eldraine, which is very interesting because Eldraine's like just came out a year ago, like fall 2019. And I'm surprised these are so heavily included. All right, let's get cracking, shall we? This will be our red pile. All right. Outflank. What do you do, outflank? Damage to target attacking or blocking creature equal to the number of creatures you control. Okay, for 1 white mana, that with a weenie deck, that'd be good. Opt. Garenbrig Squire. Malevolent Noble. Lothwain Paladin. It's a 4 mana 3/2 with Menace, and he's got Adamant. If at least 3 black mana was spent on him, enters the battlefield with a single +1/+1 counter. Yeah. Ginger Brute. That's always just a funny one to me. Trapped in the Tower. Golden Eggs. Comes into the battlefield, draw a card. 1 untap, sack an egg at 1 mana of any color. 2 tap, sack a golden egg, gain 3 life. Interesting. Idyllic Grange. What do? Enters the battlefield tapped, unless you control at least 3 planes. When it comes into play untap, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Okay. That sounds alright. Fireborn Knight. Lucky Clover. What do? Whenever you cast an adventure, instant, or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Ooh, that's cool. For this set only. Sir Farron. Witch's Vengeance. Oh no. Creatures of the creature type of your choice get -3/-3 until end of turn. Ooh, and that's just for 3 mana for the cost of a single murder. You could wipe out a board of someone's themed deck. That's a good one. Oh, and we got a Prized Griffin Foil. It's a 5 mana 3/4 flyer. And a Boring Mountain. And we got ourselves food. A food token. Okay. Alright. That was interesting. That's nothing amazing. That's nothing terrible, I guess. Got ourselves a Crystal Slipper. We got I thought it said Battered Cow. Bartered Cow. Okay, 4 mana for 3/3. When it dies or when you discard it, create a food token. Okay. Moonlit Scavengers. These are merfolk? If you say so. 6 mana for 4/5. Enters the battlefield. If you control an artifact or enchantment, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Barge In. Is that Shrek? Is that like literally someone is channeling Shrek in this art? Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Each attacking non-human creature gains trample until end of turn. Okay. Another Rosethorn Halberd. Tempting Witch. Does she have a collection of children's hands? Oh yeah, I see a lady approach me with an apple and a bunch of children's hands, severed children's hands. I'm gonna be like, oh, yes, I would like an apple. Let's see, 3 mana for a 1/3. Enters the battlefield, create a food token. Sack a food. Target player loses 3 life. Alright, I could see potential out of that. Signpost Scarecrow, 2/4 Vigilance, and it's a mana filter, I guess. Redcap Raiders, Merfolk Secret Keeper, 1 blue for 0/4 vanilla. But her adventure, what does her adventure do? Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. Oh, okay. So just mill 4. Out Muscle. 4 mana to put a single +1 counter on a target creature you control. Ah, but then it fights a creature you don't control. Okay. And if at least 3 green mana was spent on this spell, the creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Well, that is handy. Alright, and we have a very pretty looking showcase of Okahame Ranger, an Elf Knight. Let's see, for Selesnya mixed for 2/2. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. It can pump, okay. And it has an adventure for Selesnya hybrid to create 2 white human creature tokens. Okay. Turn into a pumpkin. 4 mana, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, draw a card. Okay, if at least 3 blue mana was spent to cast a spell, create a food token. Okay. Mysterious Pathlighter. Each creature you control that has an adventure enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Fey Burrow Elder, Tree Folk Druid. 3 mana for 0/0 vigilance and gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. Okay. And you can tap it for each color among permanents you control. Add 1 mana of that color. Oh. So, in at least a 2-color Selesnya deck, you tap him for 2 mana. Okay, that's not bad, I guess. We got ourselves an island. Just a well surrounded by water. And an adventure placeholder token. Ooh, useless. Alright. Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace. Seven dwarves. I think I got one of them before, so 5 more to go. Fairy Guide Mother instead of a Godmother. So normally 1 white for a 1/1 flyer. And her adventure for 2. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. Okay. Lost Legions, a Spirit Knight. 3 mana, 2/3. Enters the battlefield, scry 2. Tall as a Beanstalk. Barrow Witches. Weapons Rack. 4 mana artifact. Enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. And then you can tap it to move those counters around. Use as a sorcery. Beloved Princess. Ventress Paladin. 4 mana, 2/2 flyer. If at least 3 mana was spent on him, this thing comes to the battlefield with a single +1/+1 counter on it. Ugh. Hengewalker. 3 mana, 2/2 golem. If at least 3 mana of the same color is spent to cast him, enters the battlefield with a single +1/+1 counter on it. Ugh, lame. Mystic Dispute. Don't argue with a lady in the lake. Come on, dude. 3 mana to counter a spell unless its controller pays 3. And this thing costs 2 less to cast if it targets a blue spell. So to counter a blue spell, 1 blue. Shambling Suit. It's a construct for 3. That is star 3. And star is equal to the number of artifacts and or enchantments you control. Okay. That's got potential with all those enchantments in Theros. Rampart Smasher. It's a giant. 4 Gruul. Hybrid for a 5/5. And can't be blocked by knights or walls. I mean, this guy seems like all win to me. Castle Embereth. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain. Tap it for red. or 3 and tap, and creatures you control get buff +1/+0. Cool. Do not agree with Gavin Voorhees about why, oh no, we can't make this totally story land, we can't make it legendary. That would be crazy. No, you're crazy. You're off flavor, and that's bad. Oakheim Adversary is a green foil here. Costs 2 less to cast if an opponent controls a green permanent. So potentially a 2-mana 2/3 with Death Touch, and deals combat damage to player. Draw a card. And some terrible looking mountains. And a human cleric lifelink haste token. Alright, down to our last 2 Eldraine boosters. Alright, this one's always fun. Just by the art and flavor. Run away together. Forever young. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library. Draw a card. Wow. I think there's a Visions or Mirage card that did the exact same thing, but costs more mana. Okay. Cool. Rosehorn Acolyte. It's an elf druid that can do an adventure by converting a mana, and then you can tap the actual creature for 1 mana of any color. I do see the potential. Trebuchet, Brimstone Trebuchet. Defender with reach, 3 mana for 1/3. Tap it to deal 1 damage to each opponent. Whenever a knight enters the battlefield under your control, untap this thing. Ooh, cool. More golden eggs. More Toil as a Beanstalk. Another Valtry's Paladin. Another Idyllic Range. Lochwain Gargoyle. 1 mana for 0/3. 4, and this guy gets pumped by 2 and gains flying until end of turn. Giant Opportunity. Okay. You may sacrifice 2 foods. If you do, create a 7/7 green giant creature token. Otherwise, create 3 food tokens. Am I missing something? You may sack 2 foods. If you do, create a giant or 3 food tokens. Why wouldn't you want to create a frickin' 7/7 giant? I mean, like, they forget to insert a part about like flipping a coin or something. I feel like this is too good for an uncommon. Sage of the Falls, Merfolk Wizard, 5 mana for 2/5. This thing or another non-human creature enters the battlefield under my control. You may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Arcanist's Owl. Okay. You got blue-white hybrids, 4 for a 3/3 flyer. Enters the battlefield. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Reveal an artifact or enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your library in random order. Oh, I definitely have a place for you, buddy. Fae of Wishes. Alright, we got ourselves a rare. It's a 2 mana 1/4 flying creature. You can pay 2 and discard 2 cards and return this thing to your hand. And it's adventurous for 4 mana. You may choose a non-creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So one thing I realize now is that this doesn't just refer to stuff that is in a sideboard. Like if you don't have a sideboard, you can't do anything with this. This is anti-exile. Cards get exiled, you still own them, they're just outside of the game. So this can bring back an exiled thing, which is cool. Alright, we got ourselves another foil, Mistford River Turtle. Have I gotten a foil in every booster so far? You got a Boring Old Plains and another adventure token. Lame. Alright, last Eldraine booster. What do we think, guys? Stonehenge? Yeah? No? Who knows? Okay, Bloodhaze Wolverine, Shining Armor, Run Away Together, Smitten Swordmaster. 2 mana for a 2/1 lifelink knight, and his adventure. Gain X life, and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knights you control. Interesting. Toonville Treefolk, 6 mana for a 6/5, and his adventure lets you put 2+1/+1 counters on a target creature. Corridor Monitor, Flutterfox, Crashing Drawbridge, another Ginger Brute, another Lockwayne Paladin, Sirkara the Bold. It's a red knight for 5 mana, but it's a 3/3. When this thing or an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Tap her to deal 1 damage to any target. Okay, that's a complicated way to draw cards for red. Archeon of Absolution. Flying, protection from white. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless its controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. Alright, so it's a white 4 mana 3/2 flyer with protection from white that is essentially a propaganda. That's an interesting creature. Another Oakham Adversary. Stormfist Crusader. It's a Rakdos 2/2 Knight with Menace. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses 1 life. Interesting. Same mountain. Oh man, another. Okay, so I think this was the first Eldraine booster that did not have a foil in it. Totally fine by me. Alright, Guilds of Ravnica. This is another one that I like since I jumped back into this in like March 2020. Ornery Goblin, Locksborn Restorer, Domir Informant. That's one of the reasons I like this one so much, is because Dimir, I love me Dimir, enters the battlefield, Surveil 2. Rubble Belt Boar enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Pax Favor, target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, and you can convoke it. Muse Drake, Selesnya Locket, Dead Weight. 1 black mana, enchant creature gets -2/-2. Okay, I love the art, but isn't this just like a weakness? Undercity Uprising. 4 mana Golgari spell. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. So we can just go on a biting spree. A Rock Charger. Disinformation Campaign. Enchantment. Enters the battlefield, draw a card, and each opponent discards a card. Whenever you surveil, return Disinformation to my hand. Interesting. Inescapable Blaze. Can't be countered. Deals 6 damage to any target for 6 mana. Okay. Venerated Loxbone. Luxobone, which are these elephant creatures. This is the rare. 5 mana for 4/4 that can be convoked. Enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that convoked it. Okay, see the potential there. There we go. Foil, Elf Knight, Ledev Champion. Alright. When this thing attacks, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control, and it gets +1/+1 on the turn for each creature tapped this way. And for 5 mana, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. Interesting. And a Is It Guildgate, and a soldier token. Oh, the one that this guy's supposed to make. It's a white soldier, lifelink. Yep, that's the one. Alright. But can you tell me how Loxodon are supposed to live in this urban environment? These guys are like halfway between a giant and, you know, like regular folk. Wall of Mist, 2 mana for 0/5 defender. Wajoki Bodyguard. It's a red human soldier with mentor and can't attack or block alone. Bartizan Bats, 3/1 flyers for 4 mana. Dev Karen Dissident, an elf warrior bear essentially that can be pumped for 5 mana. Devious Cover-Up. I like this spell. It's a 4 mana counter spell that lets you return 4 cards from your graveyard to your library. Well, specifically instants, right? Instants and sorceries. No, just 4 target cards. So it's like 4 any cards returned back to my library. That's better than I remembered. Erstwhile Trooper, discard a card. This thing gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. And do it only once. Sky Knight Legionnaire. Whisper Agent. One of the first cards I opened in 2020 and liked it. Candlelit Vigil. Enchant a creature gets +3/+2 and lifelink for 4 mana. Sonic Assault. Tap target creature. Sonic Assault deals 2 damage to that creature's controller. And then you can play this from your graveyard with a Jumpstart. Affectionate Idric. Ocarina Assassin. Pilfering Imp. This is a cute spell. 1 black for a 1/1 flyer. 2 and sack it. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. That's handy. Ritual of Soot, 4 mana sorcery. Destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less. Oh, anti-weenie fucking board wipe. Cool. Boros Guildgate and a goblin token. Alright. I think as I open more of these, this just loses its charm. Maximize velocity. You don't belong here. You belong here. Maximize velocity. Healer's Hawk. A Veiled Shade. Ooh, it's like that bride you thought you lost. 3 mana for a 2/2 that can be pumped for 2. Vigor Spore Worm. 6 mana for a 6/4 with Undergrowth. What does that mean? Enters the battlefield, target creature gains vigilance and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Vigor Spore Worm can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Huh. If only it also gave trample. Alright. Hypofizzle. I do love the colors here, but too sci-fi for me. Is it is too sci-fi looking? Doesn't feel on flavor for Magic the Gathering. For me. Draw 2 cards, then you may discard a non-land card. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target creature. Prey Upon. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Okay. Gravite Punch. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target player. And you can jumpstart this spell. Dimir Locket. Centaur Peacemaker. Enters the battlefield. Everybody gets 4 life. You gain 4 life. You gain 4 life. You gain 4 life. Everybody gains 4 life. Darkblade Agent, another one of my firsts. House Guild Mage, another one of my firsts. Enhanced Surveillance. Oh, love the art on the water, on the ground. Beautiful. You may look at an additional 2 cards each time you surveil. Oh, okay. Exile Enhanced Surveillance. Shuffle your graveyard into your library. Oh, that's not bad. Book Devourer. This is funny looking. Reminds me of like a Goblin Librarian. Was that a card from Ice Age where he's just eating the books and the glue? 6 mana for 4/5 Trample. When this guy deals combat damage to a player, you may discard all the cards in your hand. If you do, draw that many cards. Interesting. And we got ourselves a mythic. Doom Whisperer, Nightmare Demons. 5 mana for 6/6 flying trample. And you can pay 2 life to surveil 2. Wow. Got a good one, huh? Selesnya Guildgate and another lifelink Knight token. Okay, so we got ourselves 2 more Guilds of Ravnica. So I think I'll finish these off because we're already over a half hour here. And then the other thing will be in part 2. Cosmotronic Wave. Oh my god. All these Izzet spell names are just like they're trying to be sci-fi. This is like Star Trek babble, like sci-fi babble talk. Alright, what do you do for 4 mana? 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. Creatures your opponents control can't block this turn. Ooh. That's not bad. Intrusive Pack Beast enters the battlefield. Tap up to 2 target creatures your opponents control. And it's a 3/3 beast for 5 mana with Vigilance. Pack's Favor. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, and you can convoke it. Convoke just to make a freaking Giant Growth. Is Giant Growth out? Do they no longer make Giant Growths? Child of Night. 2 mana for 2/1 with lifelink. Another Darkblade Agent, another Devious Cover-Up, another Erstwhile Trooper, another Sky Knight, Legionnaire, another Whisper Agent, another Candlelit Vigil, Murmuring Mystic. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 blue bird illusion creature token with flying. So 4 mana to create that weird guy in the street who hangs out with the pigeons, except this guy makes the pigeons. Another Lead of Champion. Selective Snare. Return X target creatures of the creature type of your choice to their owner's hand. Okay. And another Omnispell Adept. And to remember what he does, 5 mana for 3/4, and you can 3 and tap and cast an instant or sorcery card from your hand without paying its mana cost, which I guess is handy for the really cool spells. Is it Guildgate and an Angel, essentially a Sarah Angel token. Alright, last one for this part. Leapfrog. 3/1 for 3 mana. Has flying as long as you cast an instant or sorcery spell. Goblin Locksmith. Love Goblin cards. Look at that. Yes. Yes. Quietly listening. Shh. I need to hear all the ticks of this lock I'm picking for him to just smash through and open it from the other side. Love it. Another Vigor Spur Worm. Burglar Rat. Enters the battlefield. Each opponent discards a card. Cool. just all my opponents. Alright, Maniacal Rage, +2/+2, can't block. It's an enchantment, an aura. Hired Poisoner. I am a poisoner by profession. So 1 for a 1/1 with Death Touch. Blade Instructor, so it's a 3/1 with Mentor. Whenever this creature attacks, you put on. Yep. Sure does have Mentor. Another Sonic Assault, Golgari Locket. Command the Storm, 5 damage to target creature for 5 mana. Or I guess you could do that spell just for 3 mana with that. Another Light of Champion, District Guide. 3 mana 2/2 Elf Scout. Enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card or a gate card, reveal it, and put in your hand. Interesting. Another Selective Snare, and another Ritual of Soot. Cool, 2 of them. Alright, Boros Guildgate, and that. Alright, so we have left Dominaria, Exiles of Ixalan, and 1, 2, 3 original Ixalans. Okay. You know what? I'm not going to be able to rest all day sitting at work thinking I didn't open up those boosters this morning. Alright. Come on, Dominaria. Charge. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Cool. All my creatures. For 1 white mana. Fire Elemental. Lame, but totally Dominaria. Relic Runner. Can't be blocked if you've cast a historic spell this turn. I do like the art, though. I like how she's illuminated in that purple. Alright, Llanowar Envoy. So, it's a 3/2 that can filter mana. Drudge Sentinel. Drudge Skeleton would be classic Dominaria. 3 mana for a 2/1, and you can pay 3, tap him. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Vicious Offering. And the kicker cost is sack a creature. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. If the spell was kick, it gets -5/-5 until end of turn. And those of you not in the know, these -- stuff can remove indestructible creatures. Divination, 3 mana to draw 2 cards. Rampaging Cyclops gets -2/-2 as long as 2 or more creatures are blocking it. This feels like classic Magic right there. If you want a 4/4 creature for only 4 mana, well, if he gets blocked by more creatures, you know, he's going to get weak. Pardic Wanderer, 6 mana for 5/5 with Trample. Yavimaya Shepherd. Ooh, Fungus. I love pulling Fungus cards. Enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green Sapperling token. So 3 mana to get a 2/2 and a 1/1. Fun with Fungus. Memorial to Folly. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for a black. 3 tap sack. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This could be useful. Icy Manipulator. There's a classic but a goodie. 4 mana artifact. 1 and tap. And tap an artifact, creature, or land. Orcish Vandal. I just wish the Icy Manipulator was a snow card. Like if they would errata, whatever the word is. Alright, Orcish Vandal, Orc Warrior, 2 mana for 1/1, sack an artifact. This thing deals 2 damage to any target. Like a rock artifact. Like if there was only something that just created a bunch of rocks. Alright, and our rare, Teshar, Ancestor's Apostle, a bird cleric, legendary. 4 mana for a 2/2, bad start, flying. Whenever you cast a historic spell, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard straight to the battlefield. Well, that is, though, handy. This island that doesn't look like an island. It's like, is that Disneyland in the background? I mean, back to Dominaria. They have actual islands there. Lots of them. Wish they drew them. And another night token. Okay. Getting to the spicier stuff. Just gotta get through this Rivals of Ixalan before we do. River Darter. Can't be blocked by dinosaurs. Okay, that's very specific. She's swimming between dinosaur feet. Okay. Otherwise, 3 mana for 2/3. That's only good against dinosaur decks. Frilled Death Spitter. It's got 3/2 for 3 mana and Enrage. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals 2 damage to target opponent. Sun-Crested Pterodon. I mean, if the Pterodons really did look like this, oh, that'd be just so beautiful and incredibly frightening at the same time. Anyway, 5 mana, 2/5 flyer, has vigilance, and as long... Oh, it has vigilance only if you control another dinosaur. Moment of Craving. 2 mana to -2/-2 something and gain 2 life. And the reason this is good is, as I mentioned, apparently you can remove a indestructible 2/2 creature with this. Like, there's a certain knight that makes all other knights indestructible, and when there's 2 of them, then the whole field is indestructible for your opponent if it's a knight's deck. But this can still take care of it. Aggressive Urge. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn and draw a card. My, have we gotten so far from Giant Growth. Canal Monitor. Traveler's Amulet. This seems familiar. 1 and 1 to use it and sack it. Search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Kitesail Corsair, which is reprinted in Legends. Snubhorn Sentry. Alright, 1 white mana for a 0/5 dinosaur. 0/3 dinosaur. Alright, and it lets me ascend if you control 10 or more permanents. City's Blessing for the rest of the game. Snubhorn Sentry gets +3/+0 as long as you have the City's Blessing. Okay. So potentially this thing turns into a 3/3 for 1 mana. Martyr of Dusk, Vampire Soldier, 2 mana for 2/1. When it dies, create a 1/1 with vampire creature token with lifelink. Mausoleum Harpy, a tropical harpy. 5 mana, 3/3 flying, and it makes you ascend. Whenever another creature you control dies, if you have the City's Blessing, put a +1/+1 counter on the Harpy. Okay, Forerunner of the Empire. Oh man, this totally makes me think of Inca stuff. 4 mana, 1/3. Enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a dino. Reveal it, shuffle your library, put the card on top of it. Whenever a dino enters the battlefield under your control, you may have this thing deal 1 damage to each creature. Ooh, potential there. Sadistic Sky Marcher. It's a 2/2 flying lifelink for 3 mana. As an additional cost to cast him, reveal a vampire card from your hand or pay another 1. Okay. And our rare is Brass's Bounty. Holy moly, 7 mana, sorcery. For each land you control, create a colorless treasure artifact token with sack it and add. Okay, so this is, I want to call it mana ramp, but if you already have 7, do you even need to ramp more mana? Oh, this is pretty mountains. I like this. And elemental token. I mean, it would help to cast this spell with that sorcerer I pulled. This guy. So instead of paying 7 mana, pay 3 mana. But you're already up to 5 by the time you play this guy. But still, let's say on curve you get this guy out on turn 5. You can use him on turn 6. That's still 1 turn faster to get Brass's bounty out, but I don't know. I don't know. Alright. Here come the good stuff right there. Original Ixalan. Original Ixalan. There's some really good lands in this set. I hope I get at least one. These boosters are nice and easy to open. Skittering Heartstopper. 1 black for a 1/2. You can pay a black. And it gains Death Touch. Okay. I would imagine it gains Menace. Or it should have Menace separately, because I know people are terrified of these types of creatures, like the real insects. Fathom Fleet Firebrand. 2 mana for a 2/2. And it paid 2 mana, and this thing gets pumped for 1. Man, everyone gets a bear. And all the bears are upgraded now. Skyblade Legion. 2 mana, 1/3 flyer vampire soldier. Blossom Dryad. It's a 3 mana 2/2 that can untap lands. Spreading Rot. 5 mana to destroy a target land, and controller loses 2 life. Costly Plunder. As an additional cost, sack a creature or an artifact. So 2 mana to draw 2 cards with sack outlet. Headwater Sentries. 4 mana for 2/5 Merfolk. Hierophant's Chalice. 3 mana. Enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. And you can tap it for generic mana. I don't know, that doesn't seem really worth it. Territorial Hammer Skull. 3 mana for a 2/3. And when this thing attacks, tap target creature and opponent controls. So far, pretty lackluster. Trove of Temptation. 4 mana, each opponent must attack you or a planeswalker you control with at least 1 creature each combat if able. At the beginning of your end step, create a colorless treasure artifact token. Is this worth it? Kumina Speaker. Merfolk Shaman. 1 green for a 1/1. Gets +1/+1 as long as you control another merfolk or an island. Okay, I see the potential of you. Call to the Feast. Alright, 4 mana to create 3 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. That's not bad. Oh, that's a mythic. What do? Tishana, Voice of Thunder. Merfolk Shaman, star. 7 mana though. Power and toughness each equal to the number of cards in your hand. Oh, I don't like this already. You have no maximum hand size. Oh, I like it more now. When enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control. Okay, I see the potential there. And we got a foil, Seeker's Squire. It's a human scout, 2 mana for 1/2. Enters the battlefield, it explores. That's a new mechanic for me. Reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. So if it's a land, I draw. Otherwise, it gets surveilled, and this thing gets +1/+1. Interesting. And we got a swamp and a vampire creature token. Alright, that was my first Ixalan. Let's pull something juicier. Nest Robber. 2 mana for 2/1 dinosaur with haste. It's like a very messed up looking parrot. Shining Aerosaur. 3/4 flyer for 5 mana. Deadeye Tormentor. 3 mana for 2/2 and it's got Raid. What is Raid? Enters the battlefield. If you attacked with a creature this turn, target opponent discards a card. Rummaging Goblin. It's the monkey goblins. I hate monkey goblins because they should have just been monkeys. So 3 mana for 1/1 that lets you rummage. Draw a card. Discard a card to draw a card. Throw something out to get something. Ihali's Diviner. Human Druid. It's a pretty card. So we got 2 mana for 0/3. Enters the battlefield. It explores. So we just read what Explore does. Depths of Despair. 3 mana instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Create a colorless treasure artifact token. Okay. Thrash of Raptors. As long as you control another dinosaur, this thing gets +2/+0 and it has trample. So otherwise, 4 mana for a 3/3. But if you got more, yeah, it becomes a 5/3 with trample, which is cooler. Dive Down. Target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof until end of turn. Okay, not a bad one. Colossal Dreadmaw, which I have from like a bunch of different expansions, and this is the first one, I guess. Demolish. 4 mana to destroy target artifact or land. Wanted Scoundrels. I love the look of these. Like all these extra belts, bunch of superfluous belts, I like it. When they die, target opponent creates 2 treasure tokens. Oh, because it's 2 mana for a 4/3. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't mind. Field of Ruin. Add generic mana or 2 to sap it. Destroy target non-basic land that opponent controls. Each player searches his or her library for a basic land card, puts it into their battlefield. Okay. So this is a play on the Wasteland, except it costs mana, and also everybody gets to ramp after destroying that land. Interesting. Dark Nourishment. 5 mana, deal 3 damage to target creature or player, and then gain 3 life. Doesn't seem great. I mean, 5 mana. Death Gorger Scavenger. So scary, but look how pretty he is. That mane is so pretty, but that not. So 3 mana for a 3/2. Enters the battlefield or attacks. You may exile a card from a graveyard. If a creature card is exiled this way, you gain 2 life. If a non-creature card is exiled this way, this thing gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, I can see why this is a rare. Oh. Huh. You may mark this card to represent a double-faced card in your library or hand. So it's like a checklist. Circle 1, mark it or something to represent it. So these are the good flippable stuff. Legion's Landing, Search for Saka, Argul's Bloodfast, Vance's. If only this came with one of those. Plant token. Okay, last one. So when did this thing come out, by the way? When did Ixalan come out? 2017. So 3 years before I got back in. 4 years at this point. Alright. Legion Conquistador. Enters the battlefield. You may search your library for any number of cards named Legion Conquistador, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Shuffle your library. That's not bad. I'm surprised this is a common. So 3 mana to get a 2/2 that tutors up the rest of them. Direfleet Hoarder. When it dies, create a treasure. It's a 2/1 for 2 mana that creates treasure. That's not bad. Tilonali Knight. Oh, a red knight. A human. A dinosaur riding knight. That's kind of cool. So 2 mana for 2/2. And whenever it attacks, if you control a dinosaur, it actually gets +1/+1. And that's way better than the average bear. Crash the Ramparts. Ooh, those are long. Alright. 3 mana, target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample. Okay. Shipwreck Looter. Looking at this makes me feel like should be a manga. 2/1 for 2 mana, and it's got raid. Enters the battlefield. If you attacked, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Stormfleet Pyromancer. Human Pirate Wizard. 5 mana, 3/2 with raid. So if my creature attacked, then Pyromancer deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Okay. Spreading Rot again. Raptor Companion. It's a pet raptor. This is my therapy raptor. You know, it helps control my anxieties. I think it just absorbs all my anxieties. So it's another 2 mana, 3/1. I'm seeing a lot of white cards that are just vanilla 3/1s for 2 mana. Is this art supposed to look this faded? Cobbled Wings. Equipped creature has flying. Spell Pierce. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. Well, unless they got a lot of reserves, this is still good. Start a game, pretty good. One blue mana to counter something. Stormfleet Arsonist. Let's see, 5 mana for 4/4 with raid. And what do you do after I've attacked? Target opponent sacrifices a permanent. Well, that's not bad. Another Comina Speaker. Adanto Vanguard. As long as this thing is attacking, gets +1, +2/+1. Pay for life, and this thing gains indestructible. Okay. And hello, a mythic. Jace, Cunning Castaway. 3 mana planeswalker with 3 loyalty. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player this turn, draw a card, then discard a card. -2 to create a 2/2 blue illusion creature token with whenever this creature becomes target of a spell, sack it. -5, create 2 tokens that are copies of Jace. Okay, except they're not legendary. Oh, Jace. Oh, Jace. I should look up on how to exploit this card, because it's not coming to me just yet. This is like the 3rd Jace I've pulled. Not from this set. Well, this is the 3rd one that makes copies of himself. Some okay looking mountains and some treasure tokens. Alright, so this was, wow, 59 minutes already, so an hour's worth to open all this stuff. And the very last card I open is a Jace Cunning Castaway. Does that make it worthwhile? I don't know, but I've had this Jace since September, and I had no idea. And funny enough, that's when I pulled those other Jaces from Zendikar Rising. I had those two Jace guys that when they're kicked they make copies of themselves. I mean, that's kind of funny, isn't it? Kind of. So I believe I pulled 2 mythics, right? Out of this little session I pulled 2 mythics. Not too bad. I didn't get any of the lands I was hoping to get, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm just glad I finally got to open these things. Oh, there we go. Oh, both mythics are from Ixalan. There we go. It's right in front of me. Tishana and Jace. So I guess it was worthwhile to sit through and wait. And out of the last 3 boosters, out of the Ixalan ones, 2 out of 3 Ixalans had a mythic in it. Cool, 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 cool. Thanks for tuning in, YouTube land. I appreciate it. Happy New Year. And, you know, if you like it, do that. Mark it that you like it. See you out there, YouTube land. Professional.